Hey, it's MK, and today I am mixing up Mixed Media Frenzy with my Baby Got Scraps little series I have going on. Here is the layout that I am going to be scrap lifting today, and these are the supplies that I have picked out. I have a bag of hodgepodge items that are from like Cocoa Vanilla, Simple Stories, 49 and Market, all sorts of things. I also have a few skeleton leaves here from Some Assemblage Required that I plan on using today. I also have this single photo, and I am going to take this 12 by 12 and shrink it down to an 8.5 by 11 for this particular layout. I have a bunch of scraps. I think these are, I want to say Amy Tan. You guys, I'm not very familiar with some of these scraps because I get them in kits. And some of the designers I'm just not familiar with. I apologize. These ones here are Vicki Boutin. They are all from Color Study. Clearly not the same piece of paper, but I just gathered up all of the scraps. I don't plan on using them all on this layout, but I did gather them all up. I have a few Close to My Heart scraps. This is also a zip strip from Close to My Heart millions of years ago. This scrap right here is also close to my heart. I just like all of the detail in the watercolor that it is, but I don't plan on using the back side. And then this Dots and Stripes piece of paper is from Echo Park, and it has white spots on one side and gray spots on the other. And then for my mixed media paper today, I am using Basil Marshmallow, and I always hold it upside down before I realize I'm holding it upside down. So it does say marshmallow right there as the paper, and it is from Basil. I order it from Amazon, 25 sheets per packet, which is a pretty good deal because I think it's only $10 for 25 sheets. So that's not bad. And in my opinion, it feels like it is mixed media ready, which means that it kind of has like a coating that withstands a lot of water. And you'll see that today when I actually apply a ton of water to this paper without gessoing it or anything else, which is my kind of paper, you guys. I'm lazy. I don't like to gesso at all. All right, I'm going to cut up one of those Vicki Boutin pieces of paper. I actually end up throwing away everything else since it was all punched out anyways for my base piece, but I do feel like I need something else between the Vicki Boutin and my photograph. So I'm going to gut out the center of my dot piece, which happened to be a perfect 8.5 width. I just now need it to be 12 inches. So I went ahead and I cut down 11 inches. And I went ahead and I cut that down. And now I'm just going to roughly gut out what I feel like I need for my photo. So I'm going at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8 because I cut my photo down to 4 by 4. But for some reason, my 4 inches is a little bit on the wide side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut about a 1/16 of an inch off just to be on the safe side. And now it's a true 4 by 4, which fits. Yay! And then as far as the Vicki Boutin piece goes, I must have cut it a little bit longer. My apologies. As far as the Vicki Boutin piece goes, I'm going to go ahead and angle it ever so slightly. That way you guys can see the little bit of stripes, but I also wanted to see a lot of the different colors she has that are in the white portions of those stripes that I kind of sort of overlooked at the very beginning when I first got my hands on that paper. All right, so these are my favoriteest watercolor markers in the whole wide world. They are from Altenew, and they're called watercolor markers, which I don't know why, but they're kind of like their own little aqua brushes, but they've got color in them instead of water, a highly concentrated portion of color. And I love putting the water straight on my piece of paper and then taking my pen and squeezing it a lot, you guys. I squeeze it a lot. And I have done this multiple times. I still have not refilled any of these inkwells, you guys, or these markers, I should say. Not one bit. So if you guys want to know how much ink is in one of these suckers, there's a lot because this is how I use these brushes. I've never used them in any other way. And I've done particular these 3 colors, which are Moss, which is the green that I'm working with now, the Lava Rock, which was the kind of grayish black that I put on my paper first, and then Dusk, which you will see later. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous bluey aqua color. But these are the my 3 go-to colors that I use in this fashion and have not refilled them at all. So what I'm doing here is I've constantly got my heat gun on this stuff because I don't want to mix my colors, but as soon as I reactivate the colors using water, I want to make sure that they dry so that way when I go to apply the next color, I won't get that mixture of color, if that makes any sense. So I will put my wet brush on the paper over the color, which reactivates the color, but because I have my heat gun constantly on my paper, I'm not going to mix my colors, okay? I hope that makes sense because it's kind of hard to explain. Then I'm going to take my brush and move that color around, making sure that I lighten the areas that are a little bit too dark or get the color where I want it before I actually heat set it, okay? All right, now that I've got all the colors the way that I want it, it doesn't really look a lot like the pinky peachy color that's in the example, but it's fairly close enough. It is what I was going for. How's that? In the same kind of design-ish area that is in my sample layout that I'm supposed to be scrap lifting. All right, and then of course they've also got little arrows on their example piece. So I'm going to take that as well. I'm going to use two different punches, one from Stampin' Up! And one from Close to My Heart, and get two different sized little arrows going on, or chevrons I should say is what they are. They're not really true arrows because they don't have a little line on them. So they're a chevron. And this is a picture of the South Fork Dam. It's a little south of where I live. And the dam is a great place to get catfish. And so we love to go fishing down in the dam. I do have to tell you guys, though, that the stream runs pretty fast. So there's a great place right at the end of the dam. You kind of have to do a little bit of hiking to get to it, where it's a little calmer and the catfish love to just nap there. So that's absolutely perfect to catch them. Now I know my fish isn't a catfish, but I had to use this guy. He's been in my stash for almost a year now. Yeah, I want to say he's been in my stash for about a year. He was just a plain wooden piece, and I went ahead and I colored him using the exact same watercolor markers that I just used on my paper. That's why he kind of sort of matches. I used some watercolors, and then I gave him a little shimmer as well, so that way he kind of was a little shiny or shimmering, like a fish is when you first pull him out of the water. So that's what I was going for, but I wanted this big, huge fish. Now, originally, my thought process was I was going to have that really cool watercolor paper from Close to My Heart be my circular piece, but then I realized my photo was a little bit on the larger side. If I would have cut this down to 3x4, that probably would have worked a little bit better. But because my photo was so large, I decided to omit that design altogether, that little photo cluster thing going on. But I wanted to steal elements from the layout that really drew my attention to this layout. And so one of the elements was the chevron pieces going across the top, or, into the photo cluster. And then, of course, the bottom portion, little cute design that was going on. So I stole what I wanted and just wung the rest, basically, if wung is a word. I wingaded the rest of it. That's not a word either. So also, too, there's a lot of stitching in between the chevron. So what I'm going to do is stitch one way and then hold my back button and stitch back. But because it's kind of slow, I cut that portion all out because, yeah, it was very slow. And then, of course, I ran out of the bottom bobbin and had to change that. The issues, you guys. And it's boring, and I cut it all out. All right, gluing my fish down because he is oh so cute. I know he's rather large for this page, but I didn't know any other way, or I didn't know where else I wanted to use this fish, and I was wanting to use this fish, if that makes any sense, you guys. I desperately wanted to use this fish, and I thought that because of the colors and everything I wanted to bring into this layout, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to bring it in. So basically, I'm taking that round element that was in the photo cluster above and brought it down below, is how my brain justified using the fish. I'm full of it, you guys, in case you haven't noticed yet. I make stuff up as I go along all the time. All right, then I decided to take some teeny tiny little chevron pieces and kind of have them like bursting out from my larger chevron pieces. Now, this is not in the sketch at all. Or not sketch, I apologize. It's not a sketch. I keep calling it a sketch. It's not a sketch. It is a layout. It is not in the layout at all, but I did want to add my own touches to this layout. And I felt like having smaller chevrons bursting out from the larger ones become a part of it. I am also taking one of those green skeleton leaves that were in that package and spreading it out to where I have a skeleton leaf behind my photo. Again, that circular element that I omitted is still kind of represented within my photo cluster, even though my photo cluster was too large to have a large circular element or even that photo strip thingy that is behind the photo as well. And I decided instead of butterflies, I was going to use dragonflies because around a body of water here in Nevada, we have a ton of dragonflies and they are just this bright blue color. They look neon almost. And they're so gorgeous. I absolutely love them, especially when they land on our boat and they just hang out with us while we fish. They're so cool. So of course I wanted those to be represented on my layout as well, because in South Fork you see a ton of these dragonflies. And that is it. Here is the layout. It was just super simple and fast and easy. That is one of the reasons I love doing mixed media layouts, because the mixed media portion does all the work for you. Very little embellishments, and bam, you're done. It's like amazing how quick and easy these layouts come together. I love how this looks. I love how it turns out. I know it's a little on the dark side compared to the sketch or the layout that we are lifting today, but it's me. This is so me compared to the layouts that I actually end up lifting, you guys. And I love doing stuff like that. I love showing different ways that you can see something and turn it into something that's a little bit more you. All right, be sure to check out everyone else that is playing along with Mixed Media Frenzy. Also, the folks are still playing along with Baby Got Scraps. They might not be playing along with Mixed Media Frenzy, but they're still using their scraps. Be sure to check them out as well, and I will check you guys all later. Bye.